If you say the word ping in everyday conversation, most people don't know what you're talking about. Gamers know that you're talking about lag. But beyond that, there's not really a lot of conversation as to what we're actually talking about. So, what are we talking about? Tell me about ping, bird. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, we ask the question, why is ping so important for online gaming? To start, ping is typically looked at as simply a number, and that's that, but it's actually a utility. The number is the product of that utility, which has actually been pinging around since December 1983, when its creator, Mike Muse, originally wrote it. The term ping is a reference to submarine lingo. Now, you can't actually see inside a submarine. They're built to withstand massive amounts of pressure so they can go very low, and for the most part they aren't built with windows. Like I said, ping is a DOS program, but they don't have DOS either. What they have instead is sonar. Now, what sonar does is sends out a pulse of sound, which it would then listen for echoes. When it detected an echo of the sound, that meant something was nearby, or maybe not nearby. Depending on the time it took for the echo to travel, you could tell exactly how far something away was. The sound it made was a ping, like a literal type sound. To be frank, it doesn't sound anything like that, but that's because I am not a sonar machine. And with that, you've learned another new thing. Falcon is not a sonar machine. I don't know if your brain can handle all of these new informations, but there's more. Given it made a ping sound, the slang surrounding the technology was, "Give me a ping," for instance, which would mean they would send out a sonar ping and see if there was anything around to navigate around. Computer pings aren't unlike that. I mean, when you're in a game, you're not in a submarine, and you usually can see what's going on exactly, at least from your character's perspective, so it makes sense that ping operates a little bit differently. What happens is that echo request packets are sent to the target host, and the time it takes for those packets to come back is your ping. Now, how fast exactly do data packets go? You might be surprised to find out they go at about 30% the speed of light, which is roughly a little bit more than 60,000 miles per second. So, making the assumption you live about 600 miles away from whatever server that you're interacting with, your ping there, assuming nothing is going wrong and that physics isn't getting in the way in some other way, could potentially be somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 milliseconds. Now, as we all know, that's not typically it. Real-world lag times can often be more, but generally a game is usually tolerable if its ping is under 100 milliseconds or 1/10 of a second. Now, because we're all playing games that are intended to feel like real-time interactions, having lag that's 80 milliseconds actually isn't real-time, of course. So how do games handle that? Well, a lot of games have what they call a tick rate, which is a small unit of time that every time a tick passes, the server will send out a tick packet, which is basically where it assumes all of the players will be and what they will be doing, based on the last few pieces of information it was given by players. Now, this generally works fine if there's not a lot of lag within all of the players. Most of the time, you're not going to see a lot of conflict between actual player movement and a tick packet. In fact, you may not even see any difference. But if the player you're interacting with has a little bit more lag, then the amount of time between right now and when the tick packet goes out, they may end up being in a place that, well, they aren't actually in. And let's say you did a really cool attack, but they dodged it. Well, when everything syncs up, both things can't have happened because they're conflicting actions. So the game will then have to decide which thing actually happened, whether you killed them or whether they dodged it. Now, obviously, this is not what we would call a preferable situation. Unfortunately, there's not really a lot you can do about ping. A lot of the time, the reason you have bad ping is that your ISP will route your data through a kind of Rube Goldberg chain, which is not an official term, but I think accurately sums up what we're talking about, where the different points of the chain are not the quickest route to, let's say, the League of Legends servers. And this is, of course, because the point is to make money. And to make money, you do things as cheaply as possible. And if it costs more to do the more direct thing, and it does, you don't do it. You send that data on the scenic route. Now, there are things you can do about this, but it requires more services. You could get a VPN, for instance, that is designed specifically to avoid lag. Now, what that means is the VPN would have to have a server near you that you would therefore naturally be able to get a pretty good connection to on account your ISP would not send it through a Rube Goldberg machine because the VPN server is near you. It's not only near you, but if it's a gaming VPN intended to reduce your lag, what you're paying for is that they will actually take you along the shortest path between yourself and the gaming server. Now, VPNs that are specifically made to reduce lag, like let's say Mudfish or WTFast or Ping Zapper or Battle Ping, in theory they do this, but it's also very important that the VPN is actually near you for it to matter. If it gets caught up in the Rube Goldberg chain, it's going to actually increase your ping, so if that is a solution that you're looking at to reduce ping, that's what you need to be looking at probably more than anything else. Similarly, some cable providers are providing these services, either by building their own VPN type networks on their own, or by subcontracting one of the others. For instance, Cox Cable apparently subcontracts WTFast for their Elite Gamer service, which costs $15 a month in addition to your regular cable package. And just to note, I have no idea if that is a good deal or not. I do not have Cox Cable. In fact, League of Legends has been doing this exact thing, basically setting up its own network, working with various ISPs, and drastically reducing the ping times players experience since 2015. Now, you may end up hearing from manufacturers of gaming routers, for instance, that their router manages to fix all of the problems that a gamer might have in using a Wi-Fi router, but in truth, the best thing you can do for lag on at least your end is to not use Wi-Fi. That's not to say a gaming router isn't definitely your best choice if you intend on doing gaming over Wi-Fi. It absolutely is. Online gaming is actually a fairly low bandwidth activity, so if it's prioritized over any other activity, say Netflix or whatever, it can actually do pretty well while even competing with somebody else's Netflix feed. Remember, Netflix is not a real-time activity, it's buffered video. Even though it takes up a lot of bandwidth, if that bandwidth is second priority over the small packets you're sending to play a game, it could, in theory, not be interfered with, at least by other people using the Wi-Fi. Looking into gaming Wi-Fi routers would definitely be the best idea if you can't use wired internet in your home, but a good old Ethernet cord cannot be beat. Using a wired connection to play games, of course, eliminates the possibility of Wi-Fi interference, which, let's just be clear, can very easily happen. We also should, at this point, all know that Wi-Fi is not the most reliable thing in the world, and although technically it's an amazing technology, simply plugging a wire in is just the best choice. So, to summarize, ping is more or less the measurement of time that passes between data transfers. Anyone playing games knows that ping is important because a lower ping number means a better experience. But now, you probably know a little bit more about exactly why it's important than you did before, and even some solutions as to how you might be able to get a better ping. If you love online games and play them often, that is of course important. If you do not, obviously this wasn't important. So the answer to why ping is so important is irrelevant to you. But I don't think that I'm speaking to too many people who are watching this video and are coming from that viewpoint. What do you think? Leave us a comment and let us know. If you like this video, please click like, and if you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is of course a subscription, so click subscribe and don't forget to click the notification bell. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon, you can follow me on Twitter at FalconTheHero, and we'll see you next time, right here on gameranx.